So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Orlando Sessions. My name's Alan, I'm your host, and with me this week, I'm delighted to say I've got the one and only Steph and Jim from the Despicable Three. How you doing, guys?
Hi, yeah, thank
Very
you.
well, thanks, Al.
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you for coming on. It's great for me to have you guys on first because I think I might have mentioned before that you guys were the first vlog series that Lauren and I ever watched when we started watching Orlando vlogs. It was your Universal Hard Rock hotel stay. We'd never really seen any vlogs before. We'd just come back from Orlando a few months earlier, and was sort of just reminiscing and sort of stumbled across vlogging. And I think it was because you guys had gone to Universal, and obviously there's a lot of Disney content, and we had just gone to Universal, so we chucked yours on, and that was kind of the start of our vlogging adventure, as it were. So to have you guys on first on the podcast, it's an absolute pleasure.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be on, and I'm glad you'd not watched any others before you stumbled across ours, Alan, because if you had, you'd have probably stumbled off them very quickly as well. So
no, we loved the vlog. I think to this day, I don't think we can see anyone going down the slide at the Hard Rock Hotel without thinking of Jimmy taking the GoPro down there.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah,
it's a pleasure to be on, mate. 'Cause obviously we've been mates with you for a good few years now, but it's like sort of 5 years, isn't it, that we've known each other. So
yeah, it's been a while, mate. It's been a while. It flies by, as it were. But yeah, so as we said previously off the whole sort of idea of this podcast is basically just to get people on and just have a chat about Orlando, really, because it's something that I like doing. I love the place, so to chat to enthusiastic Orlando fans like yourselves should be a fun time.
Brilliant. No, sounds good to us.
So when did you guys start going to Orlando? Has it been a long time you've been going? Has it been a more recent thing? Or
I always went as a child, so since 1998, but our first trip together was 2013, which was with like my dad and siblings. There was 10 of us that went, and it was a bit of a reluctant holiday for you in a way, wasn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say reluctant. I was very excited by it, but it did get to the point, when people keep telling you about a TV series that you need to watch, and the more people that tell you how good it is, the less you want to watch it. I did get a bit of that, because all Steph's family are all Disney nuts, aren't they? And Florida nuts, I should say. And they were all telling me how great it was and how much I was going to love it. And I did worry it was getting a bit sort of built up. Yeah. But in the end, they were absolutely right, weren't they? So
yeah, we've been pretty much every year that we can since, haven't we? Yeah.
So it was definitely like a family thing, especially for you, Steph, that they sort of took you along to start with.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And we always went in big groups as a family. So I think there was 36 of us that went one year, is like the biggest group. So there's lots of memories with lots of people. And then, yeah, my dad sort of took us all out for this trip when Jimmy was 2.5, and we've loved it, haven't we? Yeah, been back ever since.
I've always been a big fan of theme parks. I've been going, with my dad who used to go to Alton Towers every year since the mid 1980s. So I've always had an affinity to theme parks and American Adventure and all that. Just never been over to the States. Obviously, like most kids, I always dreamt that one day I'd be able to go, and then luckily enough we did. And we've been back a few times since. I feel very, very fortunate, really.
Yeah, definitely. What was it that sort of made you want to go in the first place? Was it literally just that's where you were going, or where were you? Did people sort of build it up to you, that kind of thing? Or
I think the big thing that's been the drawback for us is there's always something to keep us entertained, because particularly you, Jim, you don't like sitting down on a beach or reading a book by a pool, and going to Florida, like there's that line that you'll say from the Lion King, like, more to see that can never be seen, more to do that can never be done. And it is just so true. Like we know that we're not going to be bored out there. There's always going to be something to do.
And there's something for everybody, isn't there? That's
yeah.
the thing.
And at every age for Jimmy as well, because, you know, it was 2.5 when we first went. And then when he was 4, there was like the next level of rides. And then our last trip, he's now big enough for the big rides. So every year there's just been something different for us to be excited for.
And they're very clever, aren't they? As you know, Al, that they'll keep introducing new things that make you want to go back and back and back. They don't rest on the laurels, do they?
Yeah, no, definitely. Has Jimmy, growing up as you've gone, added to the excitement as he's sort of grown and been able to sort of understand more things and enjoy more things? Does that make it better each time you go as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he did. I mean, he was so excited for like Mako this year, Velocicoaster, but every year, and also just has his interest changed, because in previous years he's really been into like Scooby-Doo, or he's really been into Marvel, you know. So, you know, there's some areas that we not neglect, but there's some areas that we maybe don't look in as much detail. But then as Jimmy gets an interest, like Scooby-Doo, we were looking for like more and more Scooby-Doo stuff, weren't we?
Well, it was like this year as well. Like over the past, say, 18 months, he's got into The Simpsons in a massive way. It's not even a big way, a massive way. So he was really looking forward to that area that, you know, normally at Universal, we always do The Simpsons, don't we? But it's not an area we spend a lot of time in. But this year, he wanted to do all the carnival games, wanted to go on the ride a few times, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the shop, and really sort of like immersed himself in it. He wanted a Clogger burger, and so just as his taste changed, the holiday does. But you know, it was magical as well when he was younger, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So each trip's been amazing, but very very different. And I must admit, I do enjoy the ones now that he's big enough to ride everything. Because you know you can do everything in the park then.
Yeah, no, it must definitely, like you say, because there's so much to do over there. So almost with, like you say, with Jimmy discovering new things and liking new things, that just must open up. It's almost like you're unlocking levels in a video game. You know, it's like
exactly,
leveling up.
different parts and different experiences almost every time. That must be like amazing to sort of think back, and even in just that short period of time that you've been going with Jimmy, how much those holidays must have changed almost every time you went.
Absolutely, yeah. I do think the magic age, though, if I had to pick one, was when we went for his 4th birthday. And that truly was magical. I think a lot of people would think that this age would be the most exciting because he's big enough for everything. But I think 4, that really was magic.
It was special. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't have kids, but watching them on the vlog, there definitely seems to be a sweet spot of that kind of, where they're sort of almost too young, where they not that they're not enjoying themselves, but don't necessarily know what's going on, to just that period where everything is just like eyes wide open. Everything's amazing. I can't believe everything. So yeah, it must be cool to have your holiday be able to evolve like that over times, and I can imagine adds a lot to it. What are the things you would say that you love about Orlando? What is it that you just think, there's just nothing better that makes it the place that it is?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think there's that sense of familiarity that we know we're going to be going and having a good time. The food's good. There's the attractions. We feel like we can get around easy enough. So there isn't sort of one area. We're creatures of habit, aren't we, as well? It's like putting on an old pair of slippers that you can go out there and we know exactly what we sort of want to be doing, where we want to be going. You know, it is that comfort, isn't it? Safe space.
It's a strange one. Even, you know, when you're getting the transfer from the airport to your hotel, I always love it. You know, when you start seeing those really big American trucks, I get excited seeing them. When you see the Courage is Universal Harry Potter sign, when you see that some dodgy lawyer's got a bloke $1.3 million, you know, that's it for me. Just on my way to the hotel, and I think I'm back, and I just love it here.
Yeah, it is amazing. I remember the first time that Lauren and I went, we got like a coach transfer, and just seeing the whole place was just absolutely amazing. it's such a different world, but like you say, weirdly familiar at the same time. Which is great. Are there things though that you don't like about Orlando? Is there anything that you think there is any downside?
I think, that's quite a tricky one. I think in the theme parks, you do feel relatively safe because everyone's security checked and going through scanners. But I suppose when you're out and about, it does sometimes cross your mind, but we've never had any incidents where we felt particularly unsafe, have we? Well, go on.
I was thinking about the last trip, but
What happened that last trip?
a gun in a safe.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so on this last trip, our hotel room next to us, we were woken up. There was a sheriff. No, it was hotel security outside our room,
Calling the sheriff
because someone had left something in the safe next door. And that sort of just hits home a little bit. Their laws are very different to ours, and if there was a downside, perhaps that. But then once you're within the theme parks, I feel very safe in there.
Yeah. Put it this way, it reaffirmed for me that if someone's in the room next door to you being loud, you don't go banging on the door in your underpants. You just let them get on with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Not worth the risk.
I know. I've been in the odd position where, let's just say, back in the UK, if someone did certain things that a word or two would have been uttered, and then you sort of stop yourself. You think, no, they have guns here. After you, that's fine. Yeah.
And I do think, that is something that, especially when it comes to like road rage or stuff like that, I mean, we don't drive out there, but it does sort of cross your mind a little bit, doesn't it? But yeah.
And the other thing I'd say, maybe a bit controversially, desserts. Love the food in America, but they can't do a good pudding.
Do you know what? Weirdly, and it is strange, but in the last two trips that we've been on, 2016, 2018, we barely had a dessert. I think we, because of like the food is just so much. Like I think if I went into a restaurant here, I can't remember the last time I had a starter, but you always do it over there, and I don't think we ever really got around to touching desserts. But it's interesting because you'd almost think that would be something they would excel in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the odd exception to it, but for me, I think the dessert game could be improved. And also, actually, while we're on food, selection of cheeses as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's not cheese if it's liquid. I always said, someone must have tried this. There must have been someone that's gone over to America with like cheddar, red Leicester, your good cheeses like that, right? Forget all these like posh French ones. But if you went over with a suitcase full of cheddar and red Leicester, surely you'd make a fortune.
It'd be interesting going through customs.
Well, yeah, there is that, isn't there? Yeah. If you took a suitcase full in a declaration form, maybe, yeah. But yeah, cheese, Alan. Puddings and cheese for me.
Puddings and cheese. Okay, so we'll put those on the bad list. Puddings and cheese.
Yeah.
But, have you had any do you have any holiday traditions that you can't not do anymore? Are there places that you always have to, we always do this on the first night, or we always stay here, we always do this? Do you have any holiday traditions that you've picked up over the years?
Not massively. One thing we do always like to do now is to have a nice Cold Stone Creamery ice cream and sit on the steps opposite the Hard Rock cafe, on the lake at the bottom of City Walk. We normally like to do that, but there isn't sort of a set day or time. The last 3 trips, we've always done Discovery Cove on the first day, but we've said next trip we probably won't do Discovery Cove. So I wouldn't say there's one restaurant that we've done every single trip, is there? Because even Longhorns we were going to do this trip, but we never got around to it.
Longhorns or Chili's, no.
No, so I wouldn't say that there is any die-hard traditions, is there?
Steph said earlier, we're creatures of habit that don't have habits.
True. Going back on ourselves a bit here.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't really say that there is anything.
No,
You're
probably
trying
not.
to think.
I am trying to, but yeah.
I know a
probably
lot
not.
of people do. A lot of people would have like Magic Kingdom on the first day,
Yeah.
or things like that. But then we
There's-
don't often do Disney.
There's certain things we'll be guaranteed to have. Like we'll have a big pink donut.
Yeah.
We'll have a Cold Stone Creamery, like you say,
hmm
looking out to across the Hard Rock, the bottom of City Walk. So there are things that we will always do, but
Yeah.
just they will be done at some point during the holiday, won't they?
Yeah. We're quite flexible.
Flexible creatures of habit.
Has there been things that you've picked up from watching vlogs that you now have incorporated? Because I mean, I know like you guys have sort of recently like found sort of Discovery Cove
Yeah.
for the last few trips, and that seems to have been the big one that I've obviously seen from your last three trips that have really kind of you maybe hadn't done it before and is now kind of like almost every time. That's a big thing for you guys.
Oh, 100%. We do learn a lot from the vlogs, don't we? And because for years we paid for SeaWorld tickets, we never knew that Discovery Cove included SeaWorld.
No.
And that is something that we learned from the vlogs. And I remember like that 2017 trip when we used to watch Rick's Flicks, and there was that little doorway where there was the Fantastic Beasts door. Unfortunately, they got rid of that not long after our 2017 trip. But like just to go and find these like little places that are not big attractions, but just little like hidden gems around the park. We do learn an awful lot.
I mean, watch a absolute ton of Orlando YouTube and vlogs, and you're always picking things up, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some examples because we've learned some brilliant things over the years, and even before the last trip. But I suppose before the last trip, actually, I was keeping a keen eye on anyone that was using sort of the Verify app in terms of your paperwork and things to get away. So it's a great, yourself, Alan, it's a great source of information, isn't it? And that's the good thing about it. We think we've got some good tips and good ideas. So's everyone else, and if we all share them, then it means that we'll all have a better experience.
And I think you get the vloggers that are like your update vloggers, like Rick's Flicks or people who are living out there doing the updates. But then we do also like watching like your Brits abroad on holiday, because that's what we're there for. We're there for a holiday. And so you want to see what people have enjoyed or what's worth your time or maybe what isn't worth your time. So
I do like some of the Brit ones that also try and do the update. So like the resident vloggers, and then 6 months later when they release the vlog, the attraction's been open for 3 months. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the easier thing to do to update from the UK, unfortunately, especially over the last few years.
Another thing as well, like looking at hotels and resorts and things like that.
Yeah.
What's better, TripAdvisor, where you can read it, or YouTube, where you can actually see it with your own eyes?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a sort of like a big thing for us, really. It was the reminiscing at first, which is why we started watching the vlogs, because we didn't even really know about it before we went in 2016. So it was only after when we came back. But when we were booking our 2018 trip, we just went on there so many times to you just being able to look at other people's experiences like your own at various different places that you may or may not be going to. It's brilliant. But
well, I started sort of stumbling onto YouTube as I used to show what a sad little man I am. Used to watch the videos, like of the full length drives of International Drive.
Yeah.
And I just used to like it just so you could spot like, oh, that was the IOP that we went to, and that's this and that's the other. And that's how I started watching them. And then I think it's probably like recommended. Because I never had an idea there was like armies of people out there that filmed the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
No, same. What was that part of the reason why you guys started vlogging, or was it just purely for the memories, or what made you pick up the camera?
It was a very last minute decision, wasn't it? It was 3 odd weeks before we went to Hard Rock, and we're watching all the people doing them, and Jimmy said that he'd quite like for us to be doing it. And so you go and give it a go. I mean, they are very basic videos. Our 2017 ones edited on my phone, but the 2 years previous to that, I made scrapbooks, and I've got the scrapbooks here. But I think when you're actually, you know, like hearing like what Jimmy's voice was like then, or you know, like him going down the slide, if we had a picture of him going down the slide, or you're actually hearing him and how he was talking and that excitement in him, I don't think there's any better way of remembering a holiday than filming it.
Because you mentioned the slide earlier, Alan, I love watching him do that, because I still say to this day he sounds like a horse racing commentator when he's going down the slide. But there are things, obviously, you know, as he's going down that slide and he was armed with his GoPro, we'd have never have known sort of, you know, what his enjoyment was, and you know, to be actually able to like look back and see that, and think as well the other special ones, the horror makeup show. We've got some brilliant footage from in there, and it's just stuff that I can't wait to look back on it in another 10, 15 years, because it blows our mind now looking back at it, just seeing the difference in him. And
on that note, my uncle, he filmed my family's 1998 and 2000 trips, and he's got about 4 hours of footage from each holiday, and we recently went down and we watched some of that back, and then, you know, just seeing, you know, all the people back then and the voices and the personalities, it really is just the most amazing sort of little time capsule, isn't it, to look back on it all.
Yeah, definitely.
The OG Disney vlogger, wasn't he?
Yeah, totally get that. I think that's a big part of the reason why we sort of vlogged our 2018 trip, was wanting to sort of keep it for memories, but also because we felt like we wanted to try and give something back, because we'd got so much entertainment out of those vlogs in the 2 years since we'd been. They kept that itch away a little bit, I guess, you know, because you get that Orlando itch, and you know, just seeing it and seeing other people go just used to scratch that itch a little bit. And also for the tips and that, you know, we got some really good tips, so we sort of felt like we sort of wanted to give a little bit back. But it's definitely a great way to remember stuff, for sure. I mean, I first went in 2005, and I've only got a handful of photos from that time. Funnily enough, we stayed at the I can't remember what it's called now, where you stayed, Carrier Drive, a couple of trips ago, the Enclave Suites.
The Enclave Suites, yeah,
that's where we stayed. So dug those photos out and had a look, and so I 100% wish that I, you know, had more sort of stuff from there. So it's definitely a brilliant way to reminisce and check back, that's for sure.
It's great for posterity, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. If someone was coming up to you and saying, guys, I'm going to the Orlando for the first time, never been before, what advice would you give me? What would you say to them?
I'd firstly tell you that you're probably going to be sitting down for about the next 4 or 5 hours.
True story. I had someone at work say their daughter was interested in going, and they knew that I was into it. And I wrote an A4, like in tiny, like little sentences, just filled this page like full of tips. I think nowadays I would say to people, have a think, is it Disney that you want to do or Universal? I do think I don't think you can do both easily. And if you were doing both, then it would be one night at one of the deluxe hotels at Universal to get the free fast passes, so that you can back to back them 2 days at Universal.
I don't want to be this guy, but express passes, Steph. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what you're talking about here.
We are not experts at all. But I think to be able to do Disney and Universal, you need
3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, we've never done 3 weeks. But, you know, just to really break it down and have a think what are your must-dos, and just think of everything else as a bonus. I don't think that you can go completely with no plan.
Oh no chance.
Especially in because you, as you know, you can walk in and you can get so distracted with all the other things going on, and then before you know it, it's 4 or 5 o'clock, and you haven't got time to join the queue for like a Hagrid's or a Velocicoaster. So you really need to be sort of thinking and planning out your days.
Yeah, it's not a holiday you can wing it, is it?
No, that's what I was trying to say. It's not a holiday you can wing it, and sit down and get planning, see what's your must-dos.
Yeah, definitely. It's too far to go, isn't it, to not have an idea of what you want to do and when you want to do it. That's for sure. So yeah, planning's definitely definitely a main one. I think for me, rest days is always one that I would definitely say, because there is that, especially depending on how long you're going for. There is that want to sort of jam everything in, But I definitely say you need time to chill out. But planning is definitely a huge thing. Are you, how far do you go with your planning? Are you getting your journals out? Are you getting your Disney planners out, or is it just a basic, like, we want to go to these places on these days kind of thing?
Yeah, it just tends to be which places we're going to, and we tend to have a rough idea of which restaurant, but we don't fix it in hard. Like, we're not making reservations all the time, like, for them. But what we'll do as part of the planning is seeing what days, see if there's any holiday, like public holidays out there, Labour Day, President's Day. We'll be looking at park hours, and then sort of trying to work out the days. But yeah, it just tends to be where we're going and what restaurant. And that's about it, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Do have a little itinerary, but in terms of the rest days, Alan, I pronounce those water parks.
Well, we'll come on to that later, actually, funnily enough, in my quick fire questions. They're not very quick. They're not very quick fire. But, obviously, you guys have gone sort of pre and post pandemic now. How was that? Was it better than you expected? Worse than you expected?
I would say it was better than I was expecting, actually. I'm sure I'd seen or heard just about how quiet International Drive was. And so I was really quite pleasantly surprised to see it so busy, because it was a worry really at how places like that would cope, especially because in my mind, my perspective was that you get a lot of Brits going and spending a lot of time and money on iDrive. But I mean, luckily Americans have been able to travel for quite a bit sort of within the country, haven't they? So I was quite pleasantly surprised in that sense, but things have definitely changed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think we were just that massively grateful to be back. But like you say, things have changed. And in some places you do notice it and feel it more than others. So I'd say, said this to a few people at Universal, it was running like clockwork, and it was just like it always was. But then in other places, I'd say sort of like SeaWorld, you could definitely feel that it was different. It wasn't as well staffed, or certainly there wasn't the numbers of staff that they used to have in place. But again, everyone that is there is doing the best to give everyone a good experience. So I know it's a bit cliched, there's that saying, isn't it, about being sort of nice to the people that have bothered to turn up. And I think that's really true out there at the moment, because, in the restaurants and things like that, people are grafting, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're doing like 2-3 people's jobs, and it must be soul destroying.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame. Is like I say, it was good to see in your guys' last vlog from Icon Park that, like you say, that the numbers are at least in certain places, which is always good. But I suppose on the other side of that, you have a lot of sort of negativity coming out at the moment about especially certain places, not wanting to name any major theme parks, that seem to be gouging the prices and things like that quite a lot. Do you think that's going to continue? Do you think that's going to really affect things going forward, or do you think it will calm down?
Well, it's never a great business model, and we understand, these are huge corporations that are there to make money. So get that off the bat, totally understand that. But to keep taking things away and then charging more doesn't seem a particularly sustainable model to me. So I think they need to be careful and start sort of reevaluating what they're doing, because they live on the, we mentioned it earlier, the nostalgia that people have, and people of a certain age. I'm now looking at your Jimmys of this world, and his memories and his nostalgia, when he's got his own family, God willing, is all going to be towards Universal. So Disney might get away with it now while it's still the generation that have got all these great memories of the glory days of years gone by. But as time passes, I think they have got to be careful and that'll shift to Universal. Plus, they've got the new park opening in the next few years as well. So, yeah, I think they need to have a little bit of a think.
I personally don't think Disney's going to be affected. I think people will always pay the money.
Yeah.
I don't see prices coming down. I think a lot of people are saying they're hoping that maybe with Brits not boycotting Disney, but a lot less people are going there now. We've seen a lot more people going out there just for a Universal holiday that have never done that before. That they might start bringing back like your dining plans and to try and entice the Brits back. But I just think people are still paying it. I still think they're making enough money, and they still seem to be at capacity, and the queue lines are still really long. I just don't see the prices.
I agree. The prices will never come down. That's 100% a fact. But I do think that we'll have to start looking at bringing back some of the things that made them special, made them different, and bringing back some of the magic. Because at the moment, it's just stripping things away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because we've only done bits and pieces of Disney. We love Disney, but we've only sort of done bits and pieces. We booked our holiday to go like literally 2 weeks before the pandemic kicked off, so it's been moved and moved and moved. But we're doing Disney this time, and I think the kind of things that sort of make us a bit disappointed, I guess you'd say, is things like you say, we totally understand they're there to make money. That's the whole point of it. We get that it's a business. But if you look at something like Genie Plus, for example, where they've taken away something that used to be so seemingly quite good with the whole Fast Pass thing, and it was free, to replace it with something that you have to pay for, okay, fine. But it doesn't even seem to work that well.
Yeah.
Because we've noticed in certain things, like watching some of Disney in Detail's recent vlogs, where she's had problems where her lightning lane passes are just changing.
Yeah.
And she's not even being told. And, like, hang on, I booked one for 11 o'clock. Now it's like 8 o'clock in the evening. What's going on? I think that kind of thing, like if you're going to charge for something that used to be free, at least make it work. At least make it do what it's supposed to do.
I mean, obviously we've not been, and it's not affected us. But for me, the thing with it is the fact that it doesn't even include like the top tier rides. That's what I can't get my head around. So you pay for this, but you want to go on that, then that's like another upcharge. I understand upcharges. That additional revenue that theme parks make is what keeps them in business, what keeps meaning that they can reinvest. But a double upcharge to get on the top rides, I don't know, that leaves a bit of a sour taste, I'd have thought. But again, we've not been, so it doesn't really impact us. But not knocking Disney, Alan, same as you, absolutely love it there. I've got some amazing memories. But I just think that when everything kicked off, there was two ways of doing things. There was let's just sort of crack on and make things as good as we can, or there was a bit of a let's hide behind this excuse. And to be candid, I think they went down the let's hide behind this excuse.
Yeah, it does seem a shame, but like you say, one of those things. Hopefully things will get better and the magic can continue, as it were.
I think there will. Maybe it'll be a change of management, that someone that understands the history of the place, whilst again satisfying the shareholders. I just think it needs someone in there that's a bit more customer experience focused, rather than a guy that's just looking at a spreadsheet.
I mean, personally, I think they should bring back Michael Eisner, because anyone who's got the foresight to buy Portsmouth Football Club is.
Going to say he's got a big enough job on his hands at Pompey, hasn't he?
I don't know what you're talking about. We're absolutely fine. So quick fire, quote unquote questions, because they're not quick fire at all. But, favorite park?
Universal Studios.
Islands of Adventure.
Oh, split there. Universal and Islands. But
I'm split myself on it though, Alan, to be fair, because the last holiday it really did get me, all the atmosphere of studio. So it is an hard one, but I'm just going to say Islands edges it just because of the rides.
Is it one of those ones that depends what day you wake up?
I've always said islands, and I think now that Velocicoaster's in there as well, I could never go against it. But on this last trip, I did just, in terms of taking things in and having a look round. And you've always said, haven't you? You love the atmosphere in studios, and it was special.
Is a Velocicoaster worth the hype then? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Beyond worth the hype.
it's really good.
And I know it's always a bit cringy, isn't it? Because everyone, everything's like the best thing ever, but that truly is the best thing ever.
I think weirdly, I think both Lauren and I weirdly are almost probably not more excited, but almost just as excited just to watch it, because the way they've done it and where you get so close and it goes over you and all that, it just looks incredible.
Oh,
is it as good as it looks there? Yeah, it looks absolutely incredible. So we're definitely looking forward to that. Favorite place to grab dinner?
Whoa, that's a hard one. I'm gonna say Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville.
Margaritaville, yeah.
And
guess where we didn't grab dinner on our last trip? Margaritaville.
Well, I have to admit that's one we've missed on the last 2 trips. We haven't actually been, so that's definitely on our list for sure. Obviously, they both have perks, but sort of taking into consideration the money and that kind of thing, on-site hotel or off-site hotel?
On-site,
on-site,
Universal, not on-site Disney.
It's definitely worth the extra, you think?
Yeah, I mean, especially when we sort of tallied up what we were spending in like Ubers and Lyfts and like the convenience, we wish that we did just end up paying that extra for an on-site this year.
Yeah, if we could go back in time, we'd have booked Endless Summer again, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
It looks I mean, we're Cabana Bay freaks. It's one of those things that we want to try other places, and then you kind of think, but I'm going to miss staying there, so we end up booking there again. But I can definitely see the appeal. I think both sides have a lot of, especially if you're not driving. I can definitely see the appeal of an off-site, especially if you're on iDrive, because there's a lot to do. You don't necessarily, if you're in Universal, say, you might have to get Ubers and things. So, but yeah, I think I would agree with you that an on-site hotel is definitely the way to go if you can afford it, for sure.
Interesting with you saying Cabana Bay as well, because everyone that we know that's ever stayed there is exactly the same as you. Like, you go back, you look at Gary and Becca, Florida guy, always goes back. Gaz Wilson, Incredible Wilson's always go back. It seems like you go to Cabana Bay once, it's like the Hotel California, you're never leaving, are you?
No, that's it. And weirdly, we weren't even going there originally. We, long story, but we looked around things and we tried to book various things and nothing was seeming to work out. So eventually we found this holiday for when we went in 2016, and we were staying at the big Hilton on iDrive.
Oh yeah.
And we were going to stay there, and we were going for a week, and it was all happy days. And we went to Thomas Cook, and honestly, they were just it was awful, absolutely terrible experience with them. We walked out not booking in the end, and then weirdly stumbled across, because we hadn't looked at any on-site hotels because we couldn't afford them at the time. And then we found this one that was in our budget, and it was in Universal, and we were like, what's the catch? And ended up booking it, and never looked back. But if Thomas Cook hadn't been absolutely useless, we would never have stayed there. Wow. So it was a weird twist of fate, but you're definitely right with the Hotel California thing. I would find it very hard.
For a reason to say, don't they?
That's it, mate. That is certainly thing. Favorite non-park thing to do?
Probably the outlets. I like the Vineland outlets for like a little bit of a walk around.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to say?
I don't know. I was just
Dave and Buster's. That's a big one, isn't it?
The arcades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Dave and Buster's for me.
Yeah.
I do love it in there. Yeah, Dave and Buster's.
Love it. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have to get out to our drive a bit more this time. One for me, because it's my personal thing, and Lauren would have her say about it, but boarding the plane, touch or don't touch?
Don't touch.
No, never.
Lunatics.
And that's something that we've only found out was a thing through vlogs.
Yeah.
Like, I never even knew that was a thing.
Absolute lunatics. I'll never get on a flight with you two. That's for sure. Yeah, Lauren's literally like, I have to touch the plane or Alan won't get on. So
Really? Oh, crikey.
stupid
I've not got a
superstitions.
spare hand, Alan. I've usually got like a carrying bag full of scotch in each hand, so I'd have to headbutt it.
Probably not the best idea, I guess.
Yeah, probably not.
So coming back to something we had earlier, rest day, pool day, shopping day.
All day.
Oh, shopping. Yeah, quite like a shopping day.
Actually, not pool. Water park day, not pool day. Water park day.
That's
So
what I
for
was
me,
gonna
if
say.
I'm having a day at Volcano Bay, that's all the rest I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Would you, if you were going pool day, is it hotel pool or water park?
Water park.
Yeah, very rare, really. We do a hotel pool, isn't it?
But then again, you've obviously, Cabana Bay, it's got its own lazy river, hasn't it? So if I was lucky enough to stay at Cabana Bay, I probably could just chill by the pool there all day.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Honestly, we spent so much time in that pool. We didn't even go to the other pool. There's a whole other pool we never even went to because of that lazy river. It's absolutely amazing. Definitely get on there. Favorite park snack?
Oh,
For me, I'm going to say Big Pink.
big pink donut. Yeah, that's something we always get. I do like the Florian and Fortescue's
Ooh, sticky toffee.
sticky toffee
Oh,
ice
yeah.
cream.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't have one this year, did we? But that's a nice park snack.
Yeah.
Or at SeaWorld, that pineapple.
Or their Dole Whip. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
amazing.
nice. But we didn't have that this year either.
I think Big Pink, because it just, I don't know, it just holds loads of lovely memories and they are
Yeah.
gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the cheapest chips, really, let's be honest.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
bad value.
Creeping up though, aren't they?
They are creeping up, but they're not
They're
bad.
about $8 now.
Blimey, it's a bit much. Yeah, we had one. It was one of those things you just have to do, isn't it? You can't, especially if you're wandering through Springfield and you go in the Quickie Mart. How can you not buy a massive pink Lardland donut?
Oh yeah.
I tell you what, we did notice this year though, because they're huge, aren't they? And we was get a knife and cut it up. But now that Jimmy's getting older, I felt less satisfied with my portion than in previous years. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Normally it'd be like, oh, blimey, we got through that, and this time it was like, what is that? Is that my share gone? So
He's going to start eating everything now, and he's growing lad and all that.
I have to start doubling up on the orders.
Favorite time of year to visit Orlando?
For me, the best time we had was end of August, beginning of September, in terms of crowd levels and everything.
Yeah, I like late May into early June.
Do you?
But then there's no Halloween, is there?
We managed to do that HHM when we did the end of August.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that end of August, beginning of September, we got a cracking price.
Yeah.
And the American kids go back to school mid-August, so end of August is quieter. That was good.
Yeah, I'll bounce you on that stuff. Yeah.
So what was it that made you go to HHN? Because funny enough, I saw something on my Twitter. I can't remember how I saw it, but it was something I think about us going to HHN in 2018, and you literally replying to the tweet being like, "No, I'm never gonna do that." So was it just Jimmy that wanted to go, and that's why you came along, or?
Well, we were in the lobby at Endless Summer and they had like a leaflet about it and it had like the killer clowns on and everything. And we put a picture on Twitter, wasn't it, of Jimmy like reading it, saying, oh gosh, look at him wanting to go there, because it's not an event that ever interested us. But we always thought it was strictly 13 plus. But it was Nate and Craig, Marvel at the Magic lads, they replied to it saying, oh, it's only advised 13 plus, like Jimmy could go to it. And then we were very on the fence, sort of like reading stuff a little bit, but it was very spur of the moment. We bought the tickets that day, didn't we? But I mean, even looking back on that video, Jimmy was 8 years old, weren't he? And I look back and I think I was just so young. But we were very not expecting the event to adapt to kids. And Jimmy, you know, if he was scared, he very much wanted to do it. And we got him out of there within a couple of hours. Like, we'd only taken him for a couple of hours, you know, because people do enjoy drink there, and it is an adult atmosphere. And I wouldn't expect anyone to change that for there being a kid there. So we just took him in for a couple of hours. We didn't take him to any particularly gory houses, did we? It was
his big thing was the Killer Clown,
He
so we
wanted to
did
see
that,
them.
and then we did Ghostbusters,
Stranger Things.
Universal Monsters,
Yeah,
and the Scare Zone. So we didn't take him into like House of 1,000 Corpses and things like
yeah,
that, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
We didn't do the really heavy stuff, but
But he was really excited for it. He loved it, and we actually went. Well, I went myself one night, didn't I?
yeah,
And then we went back as a family again another time. So he went twice, didn't he? And if you ever talk to him about it now, he's buzzing. He knows he's like a veteran. He can't wait to tell people when he's older. He's like, you know, his first HHN, 8 years old. He's got his shorty Killer Clown up, still boxed on it, that he's
Yeah,
like
the
keeping
figure.
back for collectible value. He was asking me, funny enough, at Old Towers yesterday, how much I think it'll be worth in 25 years. So he's got that as a little investment. So yeah, it was mad that it happened. And I'd say the maddest thing is we're desperate to do it again, aren't we now?
yeah,
And like Steph said at the top of it, it was always a thing that had zero, you know, we're not interested in it in the slightest.
yeah.
And then we've done it and absolutely love it.
But I think like now I would only take Jimmy back depending on what like the houses were,
Yeah.
because we were lucky that year there was Ghostbusters, Stranger Things, you know, the Killer Clowns we like the look of. But say when you look at last year's event, you know, he's never seen Beetlejuice, has he? Or, you know, there wouldn't have been anything to have drawn us to it last year. And this year's spec map, I don't think there's anything there that for Jimmy.
Not that's on that map, no.
So I think we just fell very lucky with the dates, with the event that was on that year. And Jimmy just loved it, didn't he? Yeah.
It's like Ghostbusters was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm at that age. I love that movie. I grew up with it. But it was tame.
Yeah.
It was tame. So it was just it worked perfectly for us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great. We've done it, so I would definitely recommend people. Obviously, it's not for everyone, and I get that, but it is definitely one of those things that I would say if you fancy it, it's good. You got to do it at least once. We've seen
adults and videos that have handled HHN a hell of a lot worse than Jimmy.
Yeah,
so
I handled it worse than Jimmy.
Yeah, to be fair, but you're right. It's horses for courses.
Yeah,
definitely. Right, so my last two questions, I think I've got an idea of where we're going to go, but City Walk or Disney Springs?
Yeah, City Walk.
I love both, to be fair, but City Walk, I would say, is like my favourite place there is.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we're the same. It's just something about that sort of lagoon and just chilling there, which is great. But yeah, Disney Springs is awesome as well. But last one is the big one. But again, I have a funny feeling which way it's going to go. Disney or Universal?
Funny you should say that. It's Disney. No, only joking. Yeah, it's definitely Universal, isn't it?
Well, I just hope that they never lose sight of one thing, that it was started with a massive globe with the word Universal rotating around it. Universal all day long. Absolutely, you know, we love Disney. We love SeaWorld as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I can't ever imagine going and not going to Universal, but easily, as we've done a few times now, I can gladly go and not do Disney. So that answers it for me.
Yeah.
It's not, and we do love Disney. I feel like sometimes we sound like we've got a real, bad blood with Disney or anything, but we do love Disney.
Yeah.
But Universal's just our little happy place, isn't it?
Awesome. Love it. That's it. That's my list. That's all done. So brilliant. Lovely stuff. great little chat there, guys. Really appreciate you guys coming on and supporting the first episode. Hopefully people will enjoy it and take some entertainment at least from it. Hopefully.
No, wish you the best of luck with it, mate.
Yeah,
Thank you.
look forward to seeing your future episodes.
Yeah, let's hopefully it'll be should be out pretty quickly. I'm sure you guys already do, but if you don't, check out Despicable Three on YouTube, Twitter. I'll link all their stuff down below in the comments. Check them out because they are top notch and they are great people. So do that. And again, guys, really appreciate it. Thanks very much for coming on.
Okay, thank you.
No, thanks, Alan.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
And there you go, guys. That's episode 1. Really hope you enjoyed it. Massive thanks again to Steph and Jim for coming on for episode 1. Head over to Twitter at Orlando Sessions. Make sure you follow us over there. And if you've listened on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. It'd be great to hear from you. And we'll catch you real soon.